Hello, everybody. Welcome back, or if you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Tal, and I'm sharing in this channel how to see the spiritual in your everyday, and giving some tips and meditations and other tools to be in your spiritual self. You can see the spirituality in every day. So today I'm going to do something a little different. I'm sharing my life story. It's relating to my last video about finding your inner anchor, about dealing with tough days. You will see why it's related. So without further ado, let's go. So I was a very shy boy. Um, I was not very social. I was friendly, but I was not very social. I was bullied most of my school days, both preschool, high school, and any school. And even after that, and we'll get to that a little later. I was bullied. I was not popular. I had almost no friends. Um, I was also very naive and innocent, and like not not knowing much about real life out there. To a point that I actually called my brother a son of a in front of my mother. Of course, justifiably, I got the insulting side of her hand on my face. um, Completely justified, but I didn't really understand what I'm saying. I didn't even know what it means. That's how naive I was. But anyway, I was a freedom loving child, as I am today still. I loved nature. I loved to climb things. I climbed buildings, rooftops, trees, rocks. Everything I could climb, I would climb. Sometimes I wouldn't go to school to do that. And because I didn't feel safe at school because I was bullied all the time. Well, not all the time, but plenty. Um, when I grew up a little bit, when I got to the fifth grade, until the military service, which means 18, we moved to a small settlement that was surrounded with nature. So also, I was not as much at school as I should have been. I didn't even graduate in the 12 years. I left, I think, the beginning of the 11th grade. Um, but up until that moment, I was not popular and bullied again and again, to a point where I had a tumor, a benign one, in my shin. I think it's called a shin bone, in the bone, on the bone itself. And they had to remove part of the bone to remove the tumor, and I had to work with a cast and crutches for a while. And I was bullied even then, even blamed by my bully that I have hit him with my crutches when he actually tried to drop me from them. Hello. So, and I got the heat for it as well, by the way. He was really believable. Well, he was just someone with richer parents. Not that we had financial issues, but probably his parents were a little bit more. Anywho, so I would walk around in the hills around the settlement, and when I was, instead of going to school, and when I was in school, I was usually paired with a group of what we called then blackers, because we were only black. Today we call them metalists, because that's the music we listen to. And sitting behind the school, not being in class and smoking. I'm not saying that this behavior is good. I'm not advocating for this kind of behavior, but that's what we did. And it was like when I was 13 or 14, I started to smoke. And even then, I still was bullied. Not, not a little, quite a lot. And then came the time to go to the military. In Israel, it is a mandatory service of 3 years for boys, and for girls it's a little less. It used to be, and maybe it's changed since then. It's been 2 decades since, more than 2 decades actually, a little more. But when you draft, you go through a whole chain of tests and stuff. One of them is a psychologist, meeting with a psychologist who asks you questions about your life. And I was young, naive, and stupid. And I told him about all my interests, which back then included believing in vampires, in ghosts, practicing witchcraft. I was practicing Wicca a lot. And I told him about the fact that I have no friends and I'm bullied. And they decided, not wrong, that I have issues to adjust to normal society, that I have a problem with socializing. So, with that logic, where is a nerdy little boy like me? I was nerdy, even though I was like a metallist. I was very nerdy. I was very good in technology and everything. So quickly I learned a lot. So where will we put an intelligent young boy which is scrawny and small and shy and have trouble to adjust to society? We'll put him with the worst society that is possible. Back then, usually in the vehicle workshop, where the mechanics and everything else that links to actual vehicles, it's usually those jobs. Today it's less like that, but usually back then, those jobs, especially in the military, people which are less educated, let's call it like that, not completely not educated, but less educated, and usually violent. That's where they decided to put me. I was supposed to be not even a mechanic, I was fixing tires. Luckily, my dad was in the Air Force at that time. He was able to grant me the greatness of being in the Air Force, at least wearing the Air Force uniform, which back then was a big deal. It's considered a great honor to be in the Air Force. Those uniforms, because someone from the outside couldn't know what you're doing in the Air Force, but that uniform of being in the Air Force, it's like, whoa, he's in the Air Force. Today, of course, it's actual warriors, infantry, and armored corps, but back then it was more Air Force. And he got me into probably the best Air Force base there is in Israel, and probably the biggest also. It had everything. It had its own Burger King branch. It's before I was vegan, much before I was vegan, before I even heard about this word. It had a swimming pool. It had a movie theater which where I watched The Matrix, which is funny enough that specific movie was the movie I watched there before it even reached any other civilian movie theaters across the country. Um, so that's where they put me, in this violent um, environment, which in that one I was also bullied. Even so, from that hard labor, I got really buffed. I was really buffed. Um, but I was still shy, and I was not prone to violence, and I was trying to avoid conflicts as much as I could. I was bullied because they were bigger, they were more violent, they didn't afraid of conflict, especially not in front of a small boy like me. Because even buffed, I was still smaller than they are. So I got bullied to a point that it was torture. Because one thing that I will never forget is the case that one of them came to my room, my dormitory room in the base, knocked on the door, and I opened, and he said, "I have something to give you. Hand out your hand." He was with his hands behind his back, and apparently what he did behind his back is taking a cake fork, with the three teeth, and heat it up with a lighter behind his back. And when I reached out to receive, because I was naive, stupid, and gullible, sorry, I'm talking myself down, but I was, let's face it, I was. Maybe not stupid, but I was very naive. I reached out, he grabbed my hand with one hand, and with the other, he marked me with this fork. I still have, I don't remember which hand it was, the scar is still there. It's very faint now. I don't know if I can see it, but it was visible for a long time. And so that's the degree that it was. Luckily, my roommate was someone nerdy like me so we got along. But this bullying carried on throughout my service, and after 10 months of service and dealing with that, I've had enough. Now, when you serve in a military base like that is far away from your home, you usually stay the week, Sunday to Thursday, in the base, and you go for the weekend, which is Friday and Saturday, home. But sometimes you stay also Friday and Saturday in the base. And when you do, there's no work because it's a Saturday, but you do guard duties. So you go to the armory, you pick up your equipment, including a rifle, and go to a watchtower, do a few hours of guard duty, and go back to your room and to do whatever you want to do. So one night, I remember it also being a stormy night. It was raining. It was a Saturday, and I was supposed to go on guard duty. So I went to the armory, picked up my equipment. But I was in such a bad place, in such a dark place already, which I finally decided, okay, this is my chance to just get out. Just quit while I'm ahead. Well, I wasn't ahead, but just quit. So instead of going to my guard tower, I went to my old dormitory, which was under renovations at that time and was all boarded up. I climbed 3 stories. As I said, I love climbing. I climbed everything. I climbed to the 3rd floor, was where my old room was, crawled through a window that was not boarded up, and went into my old room. there used, I used, can't emphasize it enough. I can't say more than that because YouTube, but I used my equipment on me and it just didn't work. I thought maybe there was a problem with it. I dealt with it. I checked everything is fine. There's no dirt. There's nothing stuck. Everything looks fine. And tried again. Nothing happened. I did again the same thing, checking, making sure that everything is good. Tried again. Nothing happened. At that third time, I realized, okay, maybe it's not my time, but I didn't think of it more than that. I just said, okay, maybe it's not my time. So I put my equipment aside. I went to the base psychologist and then I got released. Because obviously the military doesn't want people that might use this kind of equipment to have access to that kind of equipment because they are capable of hurting others and themselves. So the military doesn't want to take any chances about that. So they release with nothing. You don't have to do anything anymore in the military. After I got released, I went from the military service. I went on with my life. I then met a girlfriend. I had a girlfriend at the time. After the military, she cheated on me. I was heartbroken, and I threatened to do that again. This time I didn't have that equipment, but I tried different way, but I didn't really mean it. I just said I would and I want to, but I didn't really do it. I just went somewhere to seclude myself and I thinking about it, but not actually acting on it like I did before. But my dad then found me and had me committed to an asylum, and I was there for a week. When they released me, because they understood that I'm fine and I'm not, not going to do that again. And I didn't even mean it really at that time. So I got released and moved on with my life. And as most people that are getting released from the service are either continuing their officer's career or in this military, or go to a trip to the Far East, or go to a trip to South America. Or the other option is some of us were going to learn to be a bartender and go down to Eilat, which is the most southern city in Israel, and it's mostly tourist city. So that's what I did, because I didn't have the funds to go anywhere else. So I did that. That's where I met my ex-wife. And we were together for 19 years. Within those 19 years, she managed to cheat on me multiple times. I kept forgiving. We kept getting back together. There was even a point that there was a baby, that she got pregnant, and I was 100% sure that it's not mine because of I calculated the time frame, and it was more accurate with the person that she was cheating, that I found out about it, than what was with me. And she swore that it wasn't, but years later, mutual friend that fell out of contact, finally said to me that my wife told her that this baby is not mine. Anyway, we tried to get to have children anyway. At some point, we were not married back then, but then we got married, not officially. We tried to have children. The problem is that my ex-wife has a genetic uh, um, condition that can be fatal if it's transferred to the fetus. So at the beginning, we were told by a geneticist to first try, because it's a 50-50 chance, first try natural. So we did. She got pregnant, got to 4 months because we missed one checkup after 3 months. So it's already 4 months. That means a fully developed fetus, or almost fully, but there is a body. There are hands, there are feet, there are legs, head, everything. In the other checkups that we did, it was found that this baby did get the bad gene. It's a genetic condition, so it did get. So we had to abort it because it wouldn't survive anyway. And in the last sonogram before it, I even have it. I still keep it. You can see his hand, only his hand, like he's waving goodbye. It was really horrible. I consider this to be my firstborn, my first child, not born because he wasn't born. And then we moved on to not trying naturally, just doing IVF and PGD, which means that they harvest her eggs, and check them for the gene, and screen out only eggs that are without that faulty gene, that are healthy completely. And none of them, unfortunately, they all was fertilized, but none of them could catch when they inserted it back. None of them caught. There was no. She couldn't get pregnant. The pregnancy didn't catch. And at that point, after a few years of attempting, even paying lots of money to a specialist about this, and it still didn't work. And she decided that she doesn't want kids, and I do. Yeah. And I didn't address it at the time. We just continued on living together until May 2024. I caught her red-handed cheating, because all the other cheatings I found out about it in hindsight. I didn't catch it on the act. I saw signs and I discovered it myself, and I kept on telling her every time it happened. I kept on, I know, I'm feeling it. I feel when you hide. I know you hiding from me something. I feel it, and you know that I'm always going to find out, because it always was the case. I always found out. Yes, in hindsight, after it happened, but I have this hunch, I have this feeling that I know that you're hiding, and I find out. So this time I had that feeling and I acted on it, and I caught her red-handed, and that ended the relationship with a surgical knife being cutting the thread between our hearts, no emotion whatsoever. I told her, both her and the guy that she was with here in this apartment, to get the F out, and I don't want to see her anymore. So yeah, there was that. We moved here on January 2024. So since May 2024 till today, I'm on my own. She couldn't keep this apartment, of course. She didn't earn enough money to do that. I did. And I was left with all our pets, with my cat, with our dogs, which now passed away. Which you know about. My dog, my older dog, passed away a few weeks before the festival. They had the Divine Awakening festival. And my other dog that passed away just a couple of weeks ago, which is a few weeks before I'm going to India. So yeah, I was left here alone. I met this other woman that was my girlfriend for like 6 months. She introduced me to Mose. That's how I got to the festival. That's how I got in with my power and awakened spiritually at this time. Now that I'm spiritually awakened, I'm looking back at all this, what happened to me during my life, and I realized I was guarded as, there's no other way to say it. I was guarded. I mean, the worst injury I had was when I tripped over myself walking my dogs during COVID. It was, I had the mask on. I tripped over myself because I wore like loose pants, and I was running and flat face down into the asphalt. And usually I don't fall. I trip, but I don't fall. And if I do fall, I usually very gracefully block that fall. So I never got injured, except maybe some like abrasions on my hands from blocking the fall, but nothing more than that. This time, I was flat. I got up, and as I usually get up when I finally do fall, I just like and continue walking with my dogs. Now my mask started to feel heavy and wet, so I took it and I was looking, and it was filled with blood. Oh, okay. So I went back home, I cleaned it, I looked in the mirror, and I was like a zombie with skin hanging out and my jawbone showing up underneath. It was like really horror film. But no pain. No pain whatsoever. So I just cleaned it up, put some gauze on it. Back then I was still married. My wife, I sent a picture to my wife of the wound. She said, "You're going to the emergency now because you need this sutured up before it gets infected." And I said, "Meh." And she said, "No, that's what's going to happen. I'm coming I'm coming home, and we're going together. We'll take a cab together." So we did. They sutured me up, and everything was fine. That's the only time I got seriously injured. I even crashed my car once, flipped it over, and went out of it unscathed. So I'm looking back on all this, and I'm like, I was guarded. I was climbing everything and jumping off of it, and I have never, I'm almost 45, I have never broken a bone. Never. The incident in the military, I was guarded. And I realized that I have a purpose. Now I'm realizing that all this happened for a purpose. And that purpose is conveyed this message to you, which is almost the same message as I conveyed in my last video, but a little deeper now with sharing my own experience of it. If you feel overwhelmed, if you feel in your darkest, deepest black holes of life, and you're thinking not good thoughts, please reach for professional help, or at least reach for someone. Speak with someone. Don't let it dig into you, because I was guarded because I had a purpose to be here and tell you this. But there are people that are not, that are succeeding in that. I don't want you to be one of those. I want you to, if you feel that, contact someone. Someone. And you know what? If you have no one to talk to vent, to release this pressure, instead of going and try something that I did, I will leave my phone number here on the screen below me. It's my personal WhatsApp number. Contact me. I know we are probably going to be different time zones, different places of the world, and it might not be immediate. I will try my best to answer immediately on every call or message that you will send me. Probably I will tell you the same thing I'm telling you now. Get professional help. Get a therapist. It's so important. You have no idea how much. To have someone that you trust that you can talk to. So I will let you vent, but I will also advise you to go to seek a therapist if you have no one else to speak to. And on that note, um, contact me. That's first. But if you found comfort in this video, if it helped you in any way to get a little farther away from the dark places, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for getting notifications on new uploads that I will try to do every few days, and not so far apart as I did so far. And with that, I'm sending you lots of love and lots of strength. Have a great day.